Thank you. Hello everyone. My name is Santosh Yadav, and I'll be talking about optimizing an Angular application because recently I had to actually optimize a big enterprise-wide application. And so what are the things, different things which I did? I'll be talking about the same. Stephen, can you share my screen? I think I can just yeah, cool. Thanks a lot. So this is what I'll be talking about for like next 30 minutes. So it will be all about optimizing an Angular app. And my name is Santosh Yadav, and I'm one of the Google developer expert, as Stephen informed. I'm for Angular. I write for indep.dev. I'm also a mentor for .NET Tricks, and you can find me on social media. I'm pretty active on Twitter. I'm available on LinkedIn. You can follow me on GitHub as well, and it's raining heavily at my location right now. So, and you can also see more details about me on santoshadav.dev. Basically, I am. You can find my YouTube link, YouTube channel. You can find my Twitch link. Everything is available there. And also, in case there are some upcoming talks or upcoming shows, you will be able to get all the information on the same. Okay, so let's get started. So as I said, I'll be talking about optimizing an Angular application, and believe me, the struggle, the optimizing an app is not simple. It's a struggle. We struggle a lot, and I've been there. I have struggled, and then I have struggled a lot, and then I ended up doing some lot of POCs, and then how I can improve the application performance, how I can improve the bundle size which we had. So let's go through and see the different things which we did. So first, and the simplest thing to do is lazy loading. So in case you have a large application, of course you should be dividing it into different bundles, right, or different modules. That's what we do, right? We Whenever we create an application, we think about it as not a big application, but smaller parts or smaller features. For example, if I have related to employee, I will create an employee module. If I have created some feature related to products, I will create a products module. That's what we do. But are we doing a lazy loading? The answer in most of the cases may be no, because in my application it was not there. We tried to we tried to implement lazy loading, but we were struggling because we had around 40 modules. So remember, 40 modules, it means it was not a small application, and more than 150 components. So of course the struggle was real. So we ended up doing implementing lazy loading. So how lazy loading helps you, right? So this is what you get separate feature bundles. So in case I'm creating a separate module for employee, separate module for your products, I'll get separate feature bundles, right? And you can load those bundles on demand. So it's up to you how you want to load it. We'll discuss about some strategies which are available. And another advantage of doing lazy loading is you get to serve less code on first serve. So you won't be actually giving the entire application or to your client on the first serve. So how you can actually implement lazy loading, of course that's something which I'm not going to talk about, but I'll show you the strategies which you can use. So once you do lazy loading, the another topic to discuss is how to lazy or how to load those bundles, right? As we said, in most of the cases, it is on demand loading. It means whenever a user goes to that link and clicks on the router or your router link, your bundles are downloaded. But you can actually avoid that. So there is something known as Nginx Quick Link, which is created by Minko, and he's also managing that particular package. So you can actually attach the Nginx Quick Link with your preloading strategy. And what Nginx Quick Link does is it will check if your user is active, okay, and there is enough bandwidth to download these particular modules. So you don't have to wait till actually user goes to that particular router link and then clicks and then your module is downloaded. So it will not happen in that way. Nginx Quick Link takes care of it. So in case your application is idle, it will be loaded in the background. Another option to do that is using guest parser. So guest parser, again, you have to just configure everything as a lazy loaded module. And this is a great solution in case you have Google Analytics, because guest parser takes data from Google Analytics and it tries to check if this particular module is being used frequently or not. If user is actually using that particular module, it will be lazy loaded. Otherwise it won't be lazy loaded, it will be on demand loading. So prefer this guest parser in case or guest.js in case you have Google Analytics. First, Nginx Quick Link is of course fine with any solution you have. But remember, in that case, all the modules, all the lazy loaded modules will be downloaded based on the bandwidth. But in case of guest.js, you will be actually saving some data, some bandwidth on your application. So that's the first way. Next, which I did for my application is I avoided using shared module. So we had two big shared module. One was material. So we had a material shared module, and I'm sure if you are an Angular developer, you might have done that. So we had a shared module for entire application and a different shared module for material. So what we did, how we resolved it. So this is so I wrote a blog post. So I'll just show you the link. So this is one of the most famous, or one of my most famous blog which I had written, and it is read by many developers as well. So I wrote it, stop using shared material module. So this is what I did in that particular blog post. I created few lazy loaded modules. Okay. And I added shared module. So this was my application when I started. I created this application. It was around 392 KB. Then uh, you can see I created a few components. I created a few modules, and they are not lazy loaded right now. And I added one shared module. This is how my shared module looks like. I'm sure if you are an Angular developer, you might have seen this code. So we have like starting from overlay module, CDK tree, and actually I don't blame the developers, because this is why this code exists. Is because if I go to the Angular material and you click on StackBlitz link, which is available, you will see this code available. And of course, developers just take that code from StackBlitz link and add into their own application. But believe me, this is not a good solution to do. So when I did that, so after adding your component multiple modules, so I added two modules, and then I added a shared material module. Okay, so my bundle size went up to 639 KB. Okay, so it was like more 300 KB more. And then I decided to create lazy loaded modules. So I said, okay, now if it's 639 KB, let's go ahead and do lazy loading, as my first solution was, right? And then when I did that, actually my bundle size went up to 705 KB, because I was using that shared material module in my different modules. So even in my employee module, I was injecting that shared material module. Even in my department, I was using the same, but in department, or sorry, in employee, I was not using all the modules which is provided by material, right? So then I said, okay, now let's get rid of this shared material module and try to use only modules which I need. So I removed that shared module from my application, and then just use the modules from material which is required in employee and in department, in product. And this is where I ended up. So my bundle size got reduced from 705 to 664. So you can see I almost saved 40 KB. You may say, okay, this is a lot of effort for 40 KB. Remember, this is only two components which are talking about. But in case you have 40 modules, I mean, here we had just two modules. But remember, in my case, I had 40 modules and more than 150 components. So of course, in my application, the impact was huge. We ended up saving more than a MB. So this is what the first way is. Another thing, when I was doing all this optimization, I realized I should be able to check my component size as well, because but I was struggling. I mean, I had no idea how to do that. So I ended up watching the talk from Igor Minor from Angular team. He's a tech lead. So he introduced a new package which is known as Source Map Explorer. So I created one small package on top of it, which is known as Nginx Builders / analyze. So you can actually go ahead and add this into your application. You can just say ng add and Nginx Builders and / analyze, and then you can just run this particular command. So you can say ng run project name and analyze command, which will be added into your angular.json file. So let me just show you that code. Okay, so this is the application. I'll just run this command. I have already added it, and I'm just running ng run scss demo : analyze, and this will give you a nice representation on how many different modules you have, which module is responsible for how much bundle size and everything. And this is where I got one more interesting thing. So I'll just let me just run this. Okay, so what this package does is it will actually build your application in with source map enabled, and it will also not consider the budgets. So it will not consider in case you have specified any budgets, which which we are going to talk about next. And this is what it gives you. So you can see different files, different bundles. So let me just increase the font size, so it's should be visible now. So you can see we whatever different bundles which we have in our application, it will give you all the bundles which are there. And here you can see my application. Angular is responsible for 165 kb in my application. Then we have something coming from Ivy, we have something coming from router, and similarly we have something coming from RxJS. In case your application size is huge enough, you will be able to see SRC, because the first thing which it will show you is the largest bundles or largest bundle size which is available. So by using this tool, I was able to check that each of my component, remember, each of my component was around 90 kb. So I'm talking about 150 components, and each component is of size 90 kb. So I was really shocked, but why this is happening. So but at least I got some data. I got some data to work with. Then I realized, okay, now I have to go ahead and decrease this size, because 90 kb is of course really big for a single component, and we have 150 like that, but not all 50 had 90 kb. So I started working on it. So how I was able to figure out what's going wrong. So I always use budgets. Budgets are really useful. So we had something known as any component style in my application. So I realized my any component style, which is by default set to 6 kb and maximum error is 10 kb, was actually each component had minimum style of 60 kb. Remember, more than I think 60 into 10, right? So 10 times more than what maximum warning should be. So I realized, okay, now what is happening here? So we realized that we are using the custom theme for material, right? And we did a lot of things wrong. So before I'll discuss about it more, but let's go ahead and see how budgets helps. So there are multiple ways you can set the budget. So uh, there is something known as initial. So you can define the initial size of your app. So for example, let's say you have your main bundle size of around 100 kb, and adding polyfills and other styles, it goes to 150 kb, right? So you will set your initial app size to be 150 kb. Now how it helps? So in case someone does something wrong, your application bundle size will increase. So if there is a sudden increase, for example, it goes from 150 kb to 200 kb, that's a red flag. So you should be able to see why that's 50 kb increase is there. So this is initial. Then you have something known as all script. So it says, okay, the size of all script should not increase. So if you are wondering what are the different scripts, you in angular.json you specify the scripts. You specify the scripts array. So all the combined script size should not increase this particular size. Then you have all. So you can specify the entire app. For example, if you have some standard within your organization that my app size should not go beyond 200 kb, right? So I can just go ahead and say, okay, my app should not actually increase 200 kb benchmark. So I'll always throw an exception whenever it goes beyond 200 kb. And we have something known as any component style, which will tell you, okay, if there is any problem, or your styling is actually increasing the budget which we have set. For example, in my application, it was when we configured it, I set it to 6 kb, but I realized that, okay, for most of the component, it's more than 60 kb. Then you can say any script. So any script size, it means the size of any one script should not increase. For example, if I have specified, okay, any script of 10 kb, and I have 10 different scripts specified, each of them should not actually be more than 10 kb. Then we have any. So it is applied for all the files. Any file should not increase. So how we did that, how you actually improved the SCSS one. So I wrote another blog post. This is like 7-minute read, where I did some experiment around something known as BEM, block elements model. And I ended up reducing my application size by more than 150 sorry 1.5 MB. So I'll show you some stats. Okay, so I believe showing stats is much more useful. So I'll show you the prod build. So this is what we started with. Okay, so we had around 8.44 MB of initial bundle size, and it was we had no lazy loaded module. We had all of shared module, everything, right? So from this, we actually went on to achieve this one. So you can see now I have different modules, but my entire app size is now 6.48 MB. But see my the initial bundle size. So if you see the initial bundle size, it's around main bundle is 3.65 MB, which is way less as compared to what we had earlier, where we were loading 8 MB of data. And then my runtime and common JS plus polyfills. So if I combine everything, it was not more than 3.8 MB. So from 8 MB to 3.8 MB, this is what we came onto. And similarly, my lazy loaded bundle chunks, which were like, if you see the biggest bundle size which I had was this 622 KB. But previously, was it 622 KB? No. So before this is before I did the SCSS optimization. You can read the blog in more to get more details how I did that. So you can see my biggest bundle size was actually 1 MB. So I reduced the bundle size from 1 MB to 660 KB by using that styling technique. Plus we did a lot of optimization where we removed all the shared modules and ended up using each component should have its own module. So that's what approach we took. And there is already one principle called scam principle written by one of the community member Lars. So he wrote about scam where he says that you should use single component and module. So every component should have their own module, and we should be able to define where I want to use what. So this is this blog post. You can go through it, and then of course I'll be interested to see or see your feedbacks on social media if it helped you to reduce your bundle size. And the next thing, there is also one very small thing. I mean, this is something which doesn't require a lot of code changes, is to avoid using ES modules. So we had something known as Lodash and Deep Dash. We were using the ES modules for both. So what we ended up doing is we removed the ES modules, and then we moved on to the sorry we earlier it was we moved on to ES module. So we were using Lodash and moments, not moment, but we were using Deep Dash. So we removed Lodash with Lodash ES. Similarly for Deep Dash, we have something called known as Deep Dash ES. So we actually did that as well, and it also helped us to reduce our bundle size, because when you use Lodash ES, it actually only adds the bundle size or the packages or the functions which you are using. For example, if I'm using one function from Lodash.es, I will get the that particular function in my final bundle size. But if I'm including entire Lodash, it's like you are including the entire library, and it will be your part of your bundle final bundle size. How I realize that? Of course, using the same tool. So you can actually go ahead and use that. So avoid using common JS modules in Angular 10. The good thing is, in case you migrate to Angular 10, you will get warning. In case you are using Lodash or you are using Deep Dash, you will get a warning that okay, you are trying to use common JS module. Yeah, sorry for the interruption. There is heavy rain which is happening at my in my city, so there was some just power failure. We are back now. Simon, can you just confirm? Are we back?
Yeah, I was just going to walk in and say, hey, where you are? I don't know any Angular. I cannot take the session from there. So definitely we
Sorry.
are live.
Yeah. Okay, we are live. Oh, thanks. Okay, so in Angular 10, you will get a warning whenever you try to use CommonJS modules. But in case you are actually using CommonJS module and you don't have any alternative, Angular has your back. So you can actually use something known as allowed CommonJS dependencies. And once you add this, you will actually those warnings will just disappear. It will just go away. Use CDN to serve the assets. A lot of developers, what they do is they add all the images to your assets folder, right? I mean, of course, that's the most easiest thing to do, but I would suggest go ahead and use CDN. CDN, of course, in case you are using CDN, you have low network latency, it is high availability and better analytics. You'll be able to see from where where the people are trying to access your website, and it decreases the server load. So you are not going to serve like 1 MB of image from your server. It is deployed on CDN, and CDN will take care, and it will just try to serve the image from the nearest location, right? This is what happens in CDN. A lot of developers do this, so they are not using the prod mode. So I'd suggest go ahead and check if you are using the prod mode to deploy or build your application. And in case you are using prod build, the other thing which you can do is gzip minification. So gzip minification actually helps you a lot. Let me show you one of the stats again, where we are actually using gzip minification, and our bundle size is gzipped. So this is not the latest one, but I think it is taking a lot of time. Okay, so it is taking a lot of time to load that particular image. So just to give you an idea, once I you have seen my application size, right? So it's around 6.48 MB. But am I serving 6.48 MB to the user? Of course, I'm not. So we are using a server where gzip minification is enabled, and the final bundle size which we are serving is 648 KB. So remember 648 6.48 MB, and that's the entire application size, and the one which we are serving is less than 900 KB, 900 or 800 KB. That's what we are serving to the user using gzip minification. So gzip minification is something which you cannot do. You have to look for a server which actually does that for you. For example, if I'm using Netlify to deploy it, Netlify already takes care of gzip minification. I don't have to do anything else, and it is provided by your server. So you just have to check if it is enabled or not. And yeah, that's all about it, because this was my own experience which I had during optimizing my Angular application, and that's what I wanted to share here. So thank you very much for listening to my talk.